Okay, good morning, everyone. Um, Thank you so much for joining us here at the Wisconsin Science Festival. Yes, here we go. We have here today four amazing scientists here to talk about their journeys into science. And I'm going to give it to them in just a second to introduce themselves and their work they're doing here right now. Students, if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to put them in the QA section, and I will be happy to ask our panelists. So without further ado, I'm gonna bow out and let them take turns just saying their names, what they're currently doing, and maybe like a fun fact with themselves and how they got started in science.
I'm happy to get us started. Hi, I'm Liliana. I am currently in my third year of my PhD in medical physics. I work with head and neck cancer mouse models and evaluating the fidelity of different establishment types of them. Fun fact about me is I almost went into marketing before I decided to go into a career in science. So happy to talk to students about what helped me find science and what brought me here.
Okay, I'll go next. Hi, this is Meher. I'm a postdoc at the UW Health Madison, and I work mainly on cancer and human body other translational diseases. Um, Fun fact would be I would have been a dancer if I did not come into a scientist.
Well, I'm happy to go next. Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm also a third year PhD student in medical physics. My research entails studying the application of radiopharmaceutical therapy in lung cancer. We're currently using shark antibodies at the University of Wisconsin to achieve this, which is kind of, unique and cool and fun. I don't know. I hate the fun facts. Like it always puts you on the spot. I guess a fun fact that's not very fun is that I've always lived in the Midwest. Um, but I guess that's not super fun.
Okay. Ciao, everyone. I'm Ebony Taylor. I'm originally from Florida, and I am here. Actually, my PhD technically just started. So came here for my master's, finished that about a month ago or whatever, and now I'm tr starting my PhD. And first day of school picks were yesterday. But I studied insect under climatic stress, so like temperature raises and see how they would acclimate and adapt to their environment, but also looking at their genetics. And so a lot of conservation genetics. But now I'm actually transitioning into that was terrestrial stuff. Now I'm transitioning into marine things. So like marine invertebrates, which insects are invertebrates, but marine invertebrate stuff. Um, so I'm here in Wisconsin, but probably won't be here by next year. Where I'll be somewhere else. But uh, I think fun fact for me would be is I am multiple places and I'm many places, but I'm never any place where people think I will be. So, and that's kind of a game for me.
Right. Thank you all so much for sharing a little bit about yourselves. I think just to get us started off, uh, oh, we actually have a question just came in. We actually have a question from Ebony of like, why did you change what you were focused on learning? And you can talk to me a bit more about that.
Yeah, so I literally have been an entomologist since I was 3 years old. I think I'm on the rare path of being like, I know what I want to be since I was little. And I've done a lot to go that direction. Although it wasn't a straight path. It was like like 10 years, I was like, I'm not gonna do this because somebody said you have to work with roaches. And I was like, I'm not doing that. So I went and did some other stuff, like plant related and but I've been in colleges at the core, through and through all the way through. And since I grew up by Florida, I have like a really strong connection towards the beach. It's like sanctuary, serenity, peace. Um, and I have actually been able to see like changes happen to like my community based like on hurricanes and trash pollution and new people coming in and destroying habitats, places that were literally filled with fish. It's just like toothbrushes and plastic bags and foggy water now. And that's very disheartening, and I'd like to help change that. So I'm not saying I feel like I've exhausted entomology, but I've been feeling like I need to go back home in the sense of back to the beach and ocean and help with that, and make some changes there. So now I'm just actually just doing it. So I don't really have the background for it, but that hasn't stopped me for literally anything. So I'm just gonna go do it. And that's why I say by next year I will most likely not be in the Midwest anymore. I'm either gonna be like California, Panama, or Florida, at one of their marine schools.
Thank you for sharing that. That's great. And so this is a great segue as a question for everyone else on the panel of was there any event or things that happened or series of things that kind of got you interested in the work you're doing now? Like what led you to this current position you're in? And maybe we can start with Rachel.
Yeah, sure. So my initial journey, I think it began entering my undergrad. I kind of was set on doing like a more of like a technician role. Like I was interested in doing like radiation therapy from like a clinical point of view. And it wasn't until I actually had cancer. A couple of members of my family got breast cancer. And so we actually have, myself included, a genetic mutation that makes us at high risk for breast cancer and ovarian cancer. And it's actually a mutation associated with like the mechanism of DNA repair in response to radiation. And so after kind of learning this, I think I was really motivated to turn to a career kind of centered around research and, you know, decide to go on further with my education to get my PhD in cancer research. And I think, again, that kind of happened probably my junior year of college. So I definitely, you know, didn't always have this mentality of I'm going to go in my undergrad and I'm going to get a degree and then I'm going to go on to graduate school and I'm going to have a career in research. It definitely kind of came, you know, later on into that journey. And it definitely still, you know, worked out very, very well for me. So.
I'm happy to go next. Mine happened like a bit earlier. I originally, like I always liked math as a kid, but I wasn't very into science, whether it was like earth science or biology when I was younger. And when I was taking chemistry in high school, my teacher at that time, at the end of the course, saw that I wasn't signed up for any more science classes for my senior year of high school. And he stopped me and said, you know, I think that you would make a good scientist. And I was like, no, I'm gonna go into marketing. Like I've worked in retail for like the past like 4 years, that I'm not doing it. And he was like, just for me, will you please try to take another science class? I think you would like physics. And I really respected this teacher, so I said, sure. And I was like, no marketing program is going to care if I get a bad grade in a physics class, so why not? So I took it and I absolutely loved it. It really changed my life. I just finally felt like I found something that felt like a good fit, because I had no really like felt like I had a calling in life or anything like that before then, career wise. And so I finally felt like I had found something that was so interesting to me and challenging. And then I learned about medical physics when I was in high school. And again, I just had that feeling. I was like, this sounds right. And so I went into a degree in undergrad in physics, and was lucky to go to an undergrad that also had medical physics program, so I could take some classes and learn more about what that career would be like. And I've loved it ever since. And so I decided to pursue my PhD in it.
I really like that because it just shows that you just need that one, it's like one person who can see like not just potential, but a spark for something that you may just like, oh, I just kind of enjoyed, but it's whatever. Because somebody being like, I think you'll like physics. Do you know how rare
Yeah,
physics is?
yeah. And like, I come from a family, like me and my sister are first generation college students. And so no one in my family has a background, especially in like mathematics at all or in STEM. And so I didn't even really know that physics existed besides like hearing kids at my school complain about taking it. And so I was like, yeah, okay. And he's like, no, just trust me. And I did because he was a great teacher. And it really worked out for me. And I'm still in touch with him. So I update him on my progress every year.
Amazing. Your whole projection just
Yeah.
Meher, you want to share a bit more about how you got? Yeah.
Well, I think for me also it was very early that I decided, like, I won't say I wanted to become a scientist from beginning, but I was just fascinated by biology. Like in high school, I think I was very interested into, you know, like I had a demo where I don't know if it's common practice in US, but in the country where I come from in India, so we have a practical biology class where they open up some animal. It was frog for us, and they did dissection and they showed like how the heart circulates. And if you can't open it, it still circulates for at least 2 hours. So it will be live circulation. And when I just saw that, I was very intrigued by the body. Like I think for understanding biology, it's just not the routine biology. You need maths, physics, chemistry. Like it's a lot of things that go into a human body to get it working. I just wanted to know how my body works. So, and as I went in further, I became a scientist. Things just happened one after the other without me realizing. Yeah, but I had good teachers who guided me throughout all my journey, who said like you can do good in if you get into this field, and they motivated me so I could land up here.
Thank y'all. I was wondering if you guys could go maybe a bit into what a day in your life looks like as a scientist. And whoever wants to go first can go first.
I'll go first.
Um,
Oh,
oh, yeah, please go ahead.
I'll go first. Mine is probably gonna be the most unpredictable then. My day in the life. Okay, so when I was a master student, it changed based off of the time period. Um, and maybe the semester. So like right off the beginning, I would say the day in the life would be like starting off with emails, going to several classes in a day, meeting with your advisor, and doing some reading because you drafting your proposal. As time went on and I actually started my projects, they would be like, no more emails. Unfortunately, I heavily neglect emails now. No more emails, but I would be like writing or reading and literally spending all day working on my research, so like putting grasshoppers through extreme temperatures and taking care of them and mentoring my mentees that I had at the time. And of course still like going through meetings. And then as time went towards the end of it was more like my day would literally look at like me getting up in the morning, going to a coffee shop, writing all day because you're writing your thesis, creating the presentation for your thesis, um, and then going to bed. But then like maybe I take Friday, Saturday, Sunday off and just going out for like beer or like a hike or something, to break up the day. Like I actually spend a pretty good work-life balance for the most part. Like even now, currently my research days look like me going out to maybe do the horseshoe crab stuff in the morning for high tide because you got to get them when they're high tide. Um, and then going to a coffee shop again, doing like looking for some professors, um, for labs that I want to work in, and then meeting virtually with my current PI to talk about stuff that I've found, and then me going for like a bike ride in the mangroves for fun, or going out with some friends for like lunch, or hanging out with my like going to the dog park and walking and reading a book. So breaking it up a lot with a balanced life. But my life is very unpredictable, but in a good way, very exciting way.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Ebony in that the day-to-day life of, somebody who does research or science for a living is it's not constant. Every day you're kind of coming in and you're doing something different. Last week I had a lot of experiments to do, so I was, in the tissue culture room. I was at my lab space, like performing experiments. This week was a lot of, data analysis, a lot of writing also as well. And so, my days oftentimes just look different depending on the tasks that I kind of have at hand. People kind of forget that, in science, a big part of it is also a lot of, data analysis. It's a lot of writing, reporting your research and responding to, or try, making publications. And so, yeah, that's kind of, I guess, my day to day. But similar to Ebony, I'm very big on like a work-life balance. Very rarely do I like put myself here and put myself in a position to be in lab past 6 o'clock. Sometimes they're inevitable. I've had 12-hour time points before in experiments that require that I come back into lab at 9, 10 o'clock at night. And that's, again, something that I valued in my own experiment. And so that's why I've incorporated it. So it's definitely, I prioritize my work-life balance, but any overtime that I exert on myself is definitely, something that I consent to and that I put on my own plate because I know I can handle it. So yeah, I guess that's a good way to describe my day to day.
Yeah, pretty much very similar. Rachel and I actually work in the same lab, but we do like very different projects, which is kind of cool. And so my day-to-day usually starts with emails, go to class if I have it. I do a lot of work with mice because I work with mouse models. So go and do some mouse research, whether that includes measuring tumors that I have grown on mice or ending a treatment study or whatnot. Some days or weeks are very heavily mouse work. Some are very heavily in bench work. And then a lot of data analysis, which for me includes a lot of coding. And so depending on what research you're doing or what role you have in that research, it varies really greatly. Some weeks are really meeting heavy. I have like 15 meetings this week. This is my like second meeting of today, and I have 2 more later today. So sometimes you're talking with a lot of collaborators or potential companies that you want to purchase a product from, or I'm onboarding a new undergraduate that I'll be taking on after this meeting, actually. So it's a lot of variability.
Yeah, I agree with all of my previous speakers that a day in scientist life is very variable depending on your deadlines, what you have to do. Like you have experiments that are planned way ahead. Like I have certain experiments that run for at least 6 months, like drug treatments or something. And if you're in biology, I feel it's very unpredictable. You can't predict when your mice is going to die. Sometimes they die in, like they get very sick and you have to sack them around 6 in the evening. And you have to do it. There is no other way. Otherwise, you lose everything you did earlier. But I think if you plan to have a career as a scientist, you need to plan for a long game. And it's really that you need patience and proper work-life balance. It's really important that we don't exhaust myself too much. Otherwise, science can feel frustrating sometimes if you exhaust it. So I see that I don't spend more than 7 hours a day in my lab, 7 to 8 hours. And I see that if I have to come in evening or night to the lab, I see that I spend more time with my son in the morning. I have a 2 years kid at home. So toddlers can be pretty demanding sometimes. Yeah, but I think at least in the academic section, you have a lot of freedom with your time.
Thank y'all. We have a question from the chat of what are some things that you find most interesting when you guys are learning?
I could try and tackle this first. I think what's interesting when I'm learning, I think, is whenever something works. Usually, whenever you're able to do something that tests that your hypothesis is true, and it's usually something that's never really been done before. You're the first person to kind of discover it. So, getting something that works according to what you would expect it would is honestly like really thrilling. So.
I can go next. Yeah, I agree with the previous speaker that I feel exciting only like something I hypothesis really works, or something I thought, or like I mainly test drugs for anti-cancer properties in my lab, and if I find my cancer my surviving more than what we expect, I'm really thrilled. So yeah, mostly when experiments work out the way you expect is the most thrilling part for me in my daily life.
I think kind of similar to what they both said, where something most interesting is when I think you discover something new, or sometimes I know I spent a long time like optimizing a protocol that we wanted to do, and it took almost a year to really get things to work well. And so finally getting something that to work was great. And so something that's challenging, and then you finally accomplish it is always a great time. But I think part of the earlier part of the question that was asked for this is what we recommend to young scientists researching. Just to be curious, never be afraid to ask questions. I'm lucky to be in a lab where our advisor really doesn't believe in stupid questions. And so if you don't know something, it's so much better to ask than assume in life and just move on. And so just to ask questions, be curious, and don't be afraid to ask for opportunities, or to just, if you have a science teacher that you really like and you really like the subject, just talk to them. Don't be afraid to reach out to people.
Thank y'all. So we have time for maybe one last question, but just a great big wrap-up question is, what's your favorite thing about science?
It's never ending. It's always growing and it's always changing. And I like that. I feel like science is very open in that sense of you think you have a final answer and someone will come behind you 10 years later and be like, actually, that's not what that was. And everyone's like, oh, okay, we get that now. That makes more sense. Yeah, let's change our mind to fit like adapt, evolve for this new answer that we got. And it's so fun because there's so much exploration with it, and you really can go down a rabbit hole of your curiosities, and everything is connected. Like everything is connected. All of our different fields are connected, even if we weren't science related. There's science involved. You breathing this air, there's science involved. This technology, there's science involved. It's really just like the basics of everything, and absolutely amazing. And there's room for everybody. You just get your foot in there, and it's a great.
Yeah, kind of to add on to Ebony, I love how interdisciplinary science really is, because I didn't have an appreciation for biology until I took a biophysics class. I didn't have an appreciation for chemistry until I took a solid state physics class. When it's explained to you in a way that you understand, things click, because things can take time to click. Like things take time for you to absorb and understand and to think about. And so after taking like a year of biology in undergrad, I took biophysics and I was like, oh, this is why this is so important. This is why I care about this. And so like understanding, having appreciation and understanding for other sciences, and seeing how they all fit in together, because it really, like Ebony said, it's all connected, is such a fascinating thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I also agree. I feel like when you're a scientist, you will never have a dull day in your life, even if it's routine work where you mentor your mentees. You know they come up with such strange questions sometimes, and I'll be left wondering, why have I never thought about this question? Like, I think scientists or science can develop more only when you get people from very diverse backgrounds coming into that field, because I have been trained as a biologist from, I think, maybe from my 11th or 12th standard. I was only like, oh, biology. I never look at any other things, mainly focusing on biology. But when I started doing actually cancer research, I have realized, like, if I really need to understand how a human body works, I need to know mechanics, like how your muscles lift weights, and what do your body needs to put in to do some physical work. You need to know chemistry to understand how your muscle moves. Like even simple movement, like I'm speaking to you guys, involves a lot of chemistry and physics going on in it. I feel like human body is just a well-made machine, and we are still spending years to understand that machine.
Yeah, I certainly agree with all those statements. Science is it's just an exciting time to be in science right now. I think there's a lot of open doorways for people to pursue, and you can definitely kind of, there's a lot of availability to kind of pursue your interest, you know. And there's a lot of different branches of science out there to explore. So.
All right, thank you guys so much. This is all the time we have for this virtual field trip. I just want to take a second to thank our panelists again for sharing your stories and your time with us, and thank you to the students who have joined us for this virtual field trip for the Wisconsin Science Festival. So I hope everyone has a good day, and thank you again.
A good day, everyone. Bye.